State, call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls Forensic Investigator Laura Ellis with the Polk County Sheriff's Office.
Step this way. Stand right here and raise your right hand for the business witness.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, step around.
Just watch your step going up. Just sit in the chair. Good morning.
Good morning.
Next, proceed.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ma'am. May you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your name for the record?
My name is Laura Ellis, Loraellis.
And where are you employed?
I'm employed at the Polk County Sheriff's Office.
Tell the jury about your education and training and experience.
I have 800 hours of on-the-job training with the Polk County Sheriff's Office, and our education is ongoing. So they offer us education as the year goes on with classes through the agency.
And what is your job title at the Sheriff's Office?
Forensic Investigator.
What does that mean?
We respond to multiple calls for service. We obtain digital photographs, collect evidence, and process scenes as needed.
Have you been to a number of homicide scenes during your career?
Yes, sir.
Have you also responded to other types of crime scenes?
Yes, sir.
Now, this particular case, I want to direct your attention to September 8th of last year. Do you recall how you became involved with the case?
We received a call from our dispatch center requesting us to respond to the address.
And where did you respond to?
77 Huet Drive in Auburndale.
And is that in Polk County?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you have any basic information en route to the scene?
We were just informed that we needed to respond and call in reference to a death investigation.
When you get there, what do you see first, or who do you see first?
I made contact with Detective Peters and Forensic Investigator Bange.
Is Detective Peters Detective Danny Peters with the Homicide Division?
Correct, yes, sir.
And did he end up being the lead detective in this case?
Yes, sir.
Without telling us anything he might have said, did he kind of give you a little briefing of what was going on?
Yes, sir.
What did you do next?
We waited for a search warrant to be obtained for the property.
And after the search warrant was obtained, did that give you legal authority to then do whatever you wanted to do to process the scene effectively?
Correct.
About what time were you there that evening?
What time did I arrive on scene?
Yes.
At approximately 19:09 hours.
All right. That's 7:09 p.m.?
Yes.
Now, what was your first order of business once the search warrant was approved and you took the next step?
We started obtaining digital photographs of the scene as observed.
Were you able to see both inside the house and outside the house?
Yes.
And what type of community was it in general?
More like a senior living community. It was multiple, like, mobile homes.
Were the homes did they appear to be well taken care of?
Yes, sir.
Like nicely manicured lawns?
Yes.
The houses were in order?
Yes.
Now, outside the residence, did you get an opportunity to see a couple of cars that were there at the scene?
I did.
What color and what make of cars were those?
One was a white Volkswagen Jetta, and one was a black Volkswagen Jetta.
Where was the black Jetta?
It was underneath the carport on the south side of the residence.
And how about the white car?
It was in the roadway, west of the residence.
Was it parked?
Yes.
Now, have you had an opportunity previously to see States Exhibits 1 through 99? That also includes 77A and 77B?
Yes, sir.
And are those photographs that you took that document the scene and some things that you saw and impounded at the scene?
Yes, sir.
Did they fairly and accurately depict everything?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time the state removes States 1 through 99, which also includes 77A and 77B in evidence.
Any objection?
Yes, sir.
They are received.
Now, in addition to that, at some later date, were you able to take some aerial photographs?
Yes, sir.
And how do you do that?
We respond to the PCSO hangar in Bartow, and then they take us via helicopter, and we fly over the area and obtain digital photographs from the helicopter.
And are those depicted in state exhibits 167 through 169, in addition to a Google map overhead?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move states 167 to 169 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
They are received.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about, before we publish the photographs, the overhead aerial photographs. Do those show like how the neighbors' houses are situated across the street?
Yes, sir.
So kind of give a vantage point of what people might see from different locations depending on where they lived in relationship to the crime scene?
Yes, sir.
Now, in general, when you go to a crime scene, besides what you physically do, what are your objectives in terms of the integrity of the scene?
We do everything possible to protect the scene and any evidence that may be in it. So we pretty much limit who is in and out. It's mostly our homicide detectives as well as our forensic investigators that come in and out of the scene.
Now, the homicide detectives that are there, are they all doing like different things and have different responsibilities?
Yes.
Does anybody tell you what to do, or do you know what you need to do?
So we have a crime scene detective that typically will stay with us throughout the entire time that we're on the crime scene, and they tell us what they want us to collect or what they want specific photographs of while we're on scene.
All right, with the court's permission, I'd like to publish the photographs. Thank you. I may have some questions for you on a lot of these photographs, some perhaps not. But not surprisingly, we're going to start with State Exhibit 1. Can you see it on your screen as well?
Yes, sir.
Can you jurors as well see it? Okay. Tell the jury about what information that provides.
So this puts the date that we arrived, the time that I'm going to start taking my photographs, our case number that's provided by the agency, what kind of investigation or call that I've responded to, the address, the city, who the victim is, and who my detective for the case is.
And what time did you start taking the photographs?
21:54.
And what does that mean?
That's the military time. It was 9:54, I believe.
All right. As we continue on, State Exhibit number 2. What's this?
That is the outside of the residence.
And is the black car and the white car, the Volkswagens, are they visible there?
Yes.
State Exhibit 3. State Exhibit 4. Now, in State Exhibit 4, is there an entryway, like a doorway into the house?
There is. It's along the north side of that carport.
To the left of the black car?
Correct.
And I notice in the bottom left corner there appears to be some mulch. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
State Exhibit 5, is that the doorway you spoke of?
Correct. Yes, sir.
State Exhibit 6. Did you notice something in the mulch that caught your attention when you were documenting the scene?
Yes, sir.
State Exhibit 7. Is that a close-up of what you noticed?
Yes, sir.
And what was that?
It's a white AirPod.
State Exhibit 8. State Exhibit 9. On the trunk of the black Volkswagen appears to be something. What is that?
It is a set of keys.
Going back to State Exhibit 9, did that appear to include also a car key?
Yes, sir.
State Exhibit 10 outside, and now State Exhibit 11. The first interior shot in this sequence. Kind of situate the jury to what they're looking at.
So that's the living room of the residence?
The door that's visible kind of in the upper left-hand corner, is that the door we saw from the outside?
Yes.
So if somebody drags somebody in through near the carport, would that be the entranceway?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
If somebody drags somebody in through right next to the carport, would that be the door that they would enter through?
Yes.
It appears that there's something white on the wood floor. Is that correct?
Yes.
State Exhibit 12. Now, how would you describe the interior of the house? Not the actual where Kathy laid, but the rest of the house. How was it?
Very well maintained, very clean, very organized.
State Exhibit number 13. What is that?
It is another white AirPod.
Did it appear to be the matching one or a similar one to the one found in the mulch?
Yes.
State Exhibit 14. Do you know what that is?
It is the case for the earbuds.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but so the AirPod outside, the AirPod inside, and the case for the AirPods, once you get inside, does that start going back towards where you ended up finding Kathy on the floor?
Yes.
State Exhibit 15. What do you see kind of in the background there? Where does that pathway lead to? If you go all the way back, does that enter the kitchen?
It does, yes.
Now, in your route to the kitchen, did anything look like it was knocked over or messed up, or did everything look pretty clean and in place?
It looks pretty clean and in place.
State Exhibit 16. Is this a picture of the kitchen?
Yes.
Now, the island, the bar, the island there, is the victim on the other side of that.
Yes.
That's a sliding door there. Is that a sliding glass door?
Yes, sir.
State Exhibit 17. That's an entryway and an exitway?
Yes.
All right, now State Exhibit 18. To the left of that sliding glass door, are there a washing machine and dryer maybe?
Yes.
Did you see a knife at the scene?
Yes.
And is that knife visible in that photograph?
Yes.
This is State Exhibit 19. Is that a closer up of what appears to be a bloody knife?
Yes.
State Exhibit 20. State Exhibit 21. Is this a close-up of that same bloody knife?
Yes.
Now, the jurors may see for the first time a yellow marker with the number 10 on it. What does that mean?
It's how we show where evidence is in our photos, so it gives a better layout of where everything is in reference to each other.
Did you impound that knife?
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to take a look at State Exhibit 199?
Yes.
And is that the knife, the bloody knife from the scene?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move State Exhibit 199 into evidence.
Any objection? It is received.
Now, does the knife, and in a moment you'll have an opportunity to show the jury the knife, but does the knife look different today as opposed to when it's in the picture there?
Yes.
And why is that?
May I refer to my report?
Yes, ma'am.
On Wednesday, January 22nd, Detective Peters placed the knife into a temporary evidence locker in the Forensic Investigations Office for me to process for possible latent prints.
And when you process an item for latent prints, describe to the jury what's the process and what does that mean?
So, in this case in particular, I took a chemical agent called Sudan Black, which helps us see latent prints that may possibly be in blood.
And what are latent prints?
Latent prints are fingerprints that are left behind from the oils on your hands.
So hypothetically, if somebody puts their thumbprint on something, you might be able to visibly see some prints?
Possibly.
Or perhaps doing what you were doing, you might be able to lift some prints that might not quite be visible to the human eye?
Yes.
Now, before that knife got to you for that work request, had it previously gone to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
Yes.
And at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, do they process evidentiary items for the presence of DNA and or fingerprints, depending on what the request is?
Yes.
And without saying anything about any results or anything, but did FDLE do their analysis on the knife for DNA before you did your fingerprint analysis?
Yes.
Now, do the detectives under a crime scene have to kind of think about which one to do first, or if both are feasible?
It's up to the detective, the lead detective on the case, if they want us to process it first, or if they would like it to go to FDLE first.
And is that a calculated decision that the detective could speak about?
Yes.
Now, so tell the jury about what did you actually do? I know you described it a little bit. What's that process like?
So it is a chemical agent that is black in color, and we cover whatever the area is that's covered in apparent blood. We cover it in that chemical. We let it sit for a minute, and then we wash it off, and we can also repeat it to try and darken any possible latent prints on the item.
Where do you do that?
I did it at the Forensic Investigations Office in Winter Haven.
And that's a secure, clean place?
Yes.
After you did all that, what were your results?
I was met with negative results.
Does that mean there were no latent prints that you were able to see or lift that could be compared to anything?
Yes.
And did you have an opinion about, is it difficult to get latent prints after an item's already been processed for DNA?
I don't particularly have an opinion on that.
Okay. So at the end of your results, in essence, you couldn't decide that there was anybody's fingerprints on that knife, correct?
Correct.
And are there certain reasons why somebody may leave a fingerprint or not leave a fingerprint?
Yes.
And fingerprints are not always left on an item, correct? Even if somebody handles it?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
All right. Your Honor, could Forensic Investigator Ellis get off the witness stand to show the jury the knife? Thank you. For the record, the State Exhibit 199 will be shown to the jury by Investigator Ellis.
And ladies and gentlemen, I do want to advise you that any item that's received in evidence will go back with you to the jury room during deliberations. So you'll have plenty of time to examine anything that's received. But from time to time, the parties may wish to publish evidence here in open court.
Okay, make sure all the jurors could see it, and then you can have a seat. All right, thank you, Ms.
Yes.
All right, we'll continue on with the photographs. State Exhibit number 22. Now, what is approximately the total length of that knife, blade and handle?
12 inches or 1 foot.
And then in terms of the actual knife blade, approximately how many inches is the knife blade?
It's approximately 7.
You said 7 inches?
Yes, sir.
Now, State Exhibit 23, could you situate us to, if you continue to the left on that photograph, where are you headed towards?
Back towards that living room area.
The living room and then eventually the door that we saw earlier?
Yes.
And does that give a view of what you were describing in 24?
Yes.
25. What begins to be visible in State Exhibit 25?
The victim.
Now, on the left side of the photograph, is that some of the sliding glass door blinds?
Yes.
So is it a fair statement her head seems to be fairly close to that area?
Yes.
Above her head on the floor, what is that pictured?
It's a brown hearse backpack.
All All right, State Exhibit 26. Is that who you would later find out to be Kathy Griffith?
Yes.
The blood that you noticed at this scene, is that one of the first pictures of the blood and how high it went?
Yes.
Is it a fair statement that the blood didn't go super high up on the walls or the cabinets, but seemed more down low?
Yes.
27. Now in 27, what's the white thing and the gray thing by her head?
So the white thing is a towel, and the gray thing is a shirt.
Is the neck or the stab wound visible a little bit there?
Yes.
It's on the right side of her neck, is that correct?
Yes.
28. As we get closer to the purse/backpack you described, was blood clearly visible all over it?
Yes.
And that surface area, is that kind of what, if somebody put it on their back, that would be touching their back?
Yes.
– 29. I want to ask you about, in this upper corner here, your upper right-hand corner, there appears to be coagulated blood, is that correct?
Yes.
What does coagulated mean?
It's when blood has been sitting for quite a bit of time, it starts to gather together.
Did you document also the blood inside and outside the purse?
Yes.
Is that blood between the deputy's wrists there?
Yes.
Is that blood all in the interior of the purse as well?
Yes.
For the record, that's State Exhibit 31. State Exhibit 32. State Exhibit 33. What's that pink zipper pouch?
It was a makeup bag that she had within the brown purse backpack.
Did it appear there was blood on that as well?
Yes.
34. Does that show a wallet?
Yes.
35. Is there blood on that wallet?
Yes.
36. Whose driver's license and whose picture is that?
That's the victim's driver's license.
Were you able to determine, obviously, that the purse and the contents were Kathy's?
Yes.
37. Was Kathy wearing basically a black T-shirt and some jean shorts?
Yes.
Was she also at one point wearing some Under Armour flip-flops?
I do not know if she was wearing Under Armour flip-flops at one point.
Did you see some Under Armour flip-flops close to her body?
Yes.
But how they got there, you're unaware?
Correct.
Now, it appears that her arm from approximately her upper forearm/elbow area is obstructed. Was her arm under something?
Yes. Her arm was under the kitchen island.
38. Is that the neck wound?
Yes.
39. 40. 41. Tell the jury about why do you put a ruler up next to the neck wound?
It shows length and width of the injuries on the victim's body.
And is that wound basically wide open?
Yes.
All right, 42. Is that the dishwasher?
Yes.
What's the red thing, the red stuff?
It's apparent blood.
And is that to the left of that same dishwasher?
Yes.
Now going back to 42 for a second. In front of the dishwasher, is that same kitchen island?
Yes.
And Kathy's on basically like the other side of it, correct?
Yes.
Do you know how the blood got all the way over there?
I do not.
Continuing on to 44. In the forefront, or front of the photograph there, is that same kitchen island?
Yes.
Now, Is the knife block from which the knife came from visible in this photograph?
Yes.
Going back for a moment, where in this photograph is it visible?
It's to the left of the stove.
And it's kind of like a wooden block there?
Yes.
And were there a number of knives still in the block?
Yes.
And then, of course, an empty space for the knife you located?
Yes.
45. Now, is this obviously of Kathy's legs and feet?
Yes.
And by her feet, what were the 4 items that you found on the floor there?
There was a left flip-flop, a right flip-flop, 2 phone charging cords, and a set of keys.
Is that blood on the cupboard in the upper left of the photograph?
Yes.
48. Are those the items you mentioned?
Yes.
And it appears that there's an Under Armour logo on one of the flip-flops. Is that correct?
Yes.
Does that appear to be apparent blood in State Exhibit 49 on the bottom of Kathy's flip-flop?
Yes.
In State Exhibit 50, does there appear to be some apparent blood on the other flip-flop?
Yes.
And those are a matching pair, is that correct? Both Under Armour? In State Exhibit number 51, does there appear to be blood underneath the chargers?
Yes.
52, 53, 54. Did you see various marks and bruises and or scrapes on Kathy's legs and feet, or Kathy's legs?
Yes.
Continuing on with 55 and 56.